Hey there. Ever feel like you're wise beyond your years? Well, today we're taking a deep dive into something that might just put that feeling to the test.
Hmm.
Literally.
Oh, a test.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
exploring the youth wisdom test from a website called The Spiritual Seek.
Interesting.
Now, don't let the name fool you. This isn't just for kids. It's designed for anyone aged 9 to 15.
Okay.
But the real intrigue here
Yeah.
is that it claims to measure wisdom, not just knowledge.
And that's a crucial distinction, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you really got me thinking, what even is wisdom?
Right?
We all know someone who's got a head full of facts, but maybe doesn't always make the wisest choices right.
Exactly. The website actually describes this difference quite well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they talk about a learned person being like a walking encyclopedia full of information.
Okay.
But a wise person, they say, is more like a philosopher.
Ooh, a philosopher. I
Yeah.
like that. But what does that look like in everyday life?
Well, think about it this way. A philosopher isn't necessarily looking for concrete answers. They're more interested in exploring deeper truths and understanding the complexities of the world.
I see.
And they often do this with a certain level of detachment.
Detachment. So does that mean wise people just don't care about anything?
Not at all. Think of it more like this. Imagine you're going through a tough time, and you turn to a wise friend for advice.
Okay.
They're not going to get swept up in your drama, are they?
Probably not. They'd be the calm voice of reason.
Exactly. They can see the bigger picture because they're not as emotionally invested in the situation. That's not to say they don't care, but they have a different perspective, one that allows them to offer helpful guidance.
Okay, I'm starting to get it. So this test claims to measure that kind of wisdom in kids as young as 9.
Yeah.
Which makes me wonder, how do you even begin to test something as complex as wisdom?
That's a great question, and it really gets to the heart of what makes this test so intriguing. They've designed it to be kid-friendly, with 20 questions, some images, and no registration required.
So it's fun and engaging.
Yeah.
But does that format really allow you to accurately measure something as nuanced as wisdom? What do you think?
Well, that's where it gets interesting because it raises questions about the limitations of any standardized test, even one assisted by AI.
Yeah.
How do you truly assess someone's ability to apply knowledge, navigate difficult situations, or make ethical decisions?
It's tough.
It's not a simple task.
Definitely not. Speaking of which, some of the test questions themselves really caught my attention. There's one that asks if you can remember your family's phone numbers without looking at your phone.
Oh, interesting.
Is that really a sign of wisdom or just a good memory?
It could be both.
Yeah.
On one hand, it might suggest you have a strong awareness of your family and a commitment to remembering important details.
Okay.
But perhaps the test designers are hinting at something deeper, like a less tech-reliant way of thinking, a more intentional way of engaging with the world.
Now, that's an interesting take. Then there's a question about giving up power if people asked you to.
Yeah.
What do you think this question reveals about the test maker's concept of wisdom?
Ah, that one's fascinating. It definitely touches on some classic philosophical ideas about leadership. Think about figures like Socrates or Cincinnatus. They were known for their wisdom and their willingness to relinquish power for the greater good.
So it's suggesting that true wisdom might involve humility,
Right.
recognizing that leadership isn't always about holding on to power.
Exactly. It's about understanding the needs of the people you lead and being willing to make sacrifices for their well-being.
Okay, but here's one that really threw me for a loop. There's an image of stacked rocks, and you have to say what feeling it evokes. Why would that be included in a wisdom test?
Now that's where things get really interesting, because it moves beyond the realm of pure logic and taps into something more intuitive and emotional.
Right.
The image itself is simple, but
Yeah.
think about it. What feelings does it evoke in you?
Well, I guess it could evoke a sense of stability or balance. Maybe even a feeling of precariousness, like it could topple over at any moment.
Exactly. And depending on your perspective, you might even see it as a work of art, evidence of human intervention in nature.
So by analyzing your reaction to something seemingly random, they're trying to gauge your emotional intelligence, your ability to find meaning in unexpected places.
Precisely. It reminds us that wisdom isn't just about intellectual prowess. It's also about understanding your own emotional responses and how they shape your perceptions of the world. And speaking of different perspectives, one of the things that really piqued my curiosity about this test is the way it uses Greek mythology to frame the results.
Yeah, that part really caught my eye too. It says you get aligned with a figure from Greek mythology based on your answers. It makes you wonder, why use mythology in a wisdom test?
Well, myths have always been a powerful way to convey wisdom teachings.
Oh,
Think about it. These stories have been passed down for centuries,
right?
carrying insights into human nature, morality, and the challenges we all face.
So by connecting you to a specific mythological figure, the test is inviting you to explore those deeper themes
Yes.
and perhaps see yourself in a new light.
Exactly. And it's not just about identifying with a particular god or goddess. It's about recognizing the different archetypes of wisdom that they represent. For example, you have Athena, the goddess of strategic thinking and warfare.
Right, the wise warrior.
But you also have Hestia, the goddess of hearth and home, who represents a different kind of
A
wisdom.
more domestic, grounded kind of wisdom.
Exactly. And that's what makes exploring these archetypes so fascinating. It allows you to consider different expressions of wisdom and how they might resonate with your own personality and values.
It definitely adds a layer of intrigue, wouldn't you say? I'm already itching to see which figure I align with.
Well, I wouldn't want to spoil the surprise. But before you rush off to take the test,
Yeah.
I thought it might be interesting to hear what other people have said about their experience.
Oh yeah, let's dive into those user comments.
Okay.
One person said they got a true ancient sage
Huh.
and were super happy with the result.
That's interesting because it suggests they're taking the test results to heart, maybe even using them as a framework for self-reflection.
Yeah, and then there's another comment where someone jokes that they wish they were more like Athena because that's who they got matched with.
That speaks to the aspirational aspect of the test. Even if you don't fully identify with the figure you get,
Right.
it can still spark a desire for growth, a sense of what qualities can I cultivate to embody more of that archetype's wisdom.
I love that. It's like they're using these mythological figures as role models for the kind of wisdom they want to cultivate in their own lives.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And there was another comment that stood out to me. Someone mentioned getting Metis the Titaness, known for her cunning and wisdom.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one. They were jokingly called a geek for getting Metis.
Exactly. And I think that's wonderful. It shows they're embracing that label, maybe even reclaiming it as a badge of honor.
Like they're saying, yeah, I'm a geek and proud of it. It means I'm smart and resourceful, just like Metis.
Exactly. And in a world that often prioritizes social status over intellectual depth,
Right.
choosing to identify with a wise figure like Metis can be quite a powerful statement.
It's a good reminder that wisdom can come in many forms and that intelligence is something to be celebrated, not hidden. So taking a step back, what do all these user comments tell us about how people are perceiving this test?
It seems to strike a balance between fun and insight. People are drawn to the playful elements like the mythological connections, but they're also genuinely curious about what the results might reveal about themselves.
And that brings us back to the bigger question. Do you think wisdom is something that can actually be measured by a test? What are your thoughts on that?
That's a question philosophers have debated for centuries. Can we truly measure something as complex and multifaceted as wisdom? It's a tough one.
It is. And honestly, after diving into this test and exploring its different aspects, I'm not sure I have a definitive answer.
I think that's okay. Because ultimately, I believe tools like this are less about arriving at a definitive measurement and more about sparking a conversation, a journey of self-discovery.
So it's not about getting a perfect score. It's about using the test as a springboard to reflect on your own strengths, values, and areas where you might want to grow.
Exactly. It's an invitation to explore the multifaceted nature of wisdom and consider how it shows up in your own life. What resonates with you? What aspects of wisdom do you want to cultivate? It's a starting point, not an end point.
And that makes a lot of sense, especially when you consider that we often think of wisdom as something you gain with age. But this test is designed for youth. It suggests that wisdom isn't just about the number of years you've lived, right?
Absolutely. Wisdom is a way of thinking, a way of approaching the world regardless of your age. It's about asking the right questions, being open to new perspectives, and learning from your experiences. And, perhaps it's also about recognizing that you don't have all the answers.
That's a good point. Humility seems to be a recurring theme here. And maybe it's also about knowing when to put down the smartphone and actually look around right.
Indeed. A lot of the test questions seem to touch on that idea of balance in our modern tech-saturated world.
So whether you're 9 or 90, we hope this deep dive has sparked some curiosity about what it means to be wise in your own life. What resonates with you about this idea?
And remember, the journey doesn't end with taking a test. It's an ongoing process of self-discovery, of engaging with the world around you and striving to make choices that reflect your values and understanding.
Beautifully said. So if you're ready to embark on your own wisdom quest, we encourage you to check out the Youth Wisdom Test on the Spiritual Seek. It's a fun and thought-provoking way to engage with the concept of wisdom, no matter your age.
And hey, let us know your results. We're curious to hear which Greek mythology figure you align with and what insights you glean from the experience.
Until next time, keep seeking, keep questioning, and keep growing.